everyone, I'm Kristen Pascucci, and I am here with Eric Caron, the author of Switched On, The Heart and Mind of a Special Agent. So Eric, let me ask you, as a female, what does it mean for me to be switched on? And when I say that, I mean, what if I'm walking from the mall to my car late at night?
Great.
What should I be thinking about?
Yeah, great question. One of the reasons why I did the book was for women and men to empower them so they can go about their day in a healthy and a safe manner. And so what I mean by being switched on is that your eyes and your head should be like a radar, and that you should be walking down the street trying to identify potential threats. And I talk about those potential threats in the book and how to identify those potential threats.
And, we went through this here in Boston, a number of years ago with the Boston Marathon, and we had all these talks about being more aware. But it's not just the terrorism attacks that you're talking about, even though that is something that we need to do. It's just our own personal safety and listening to our guts.
Yeah, it's basically, but I give tips in the book about, hey, if someone's approaching you, here are some key indicators that you're about to be attacked. Mm-hmm. And understand that most attacks, prior to that attack, someone's chatting you up, because that's taking you off your game. Mm-hmm. And to understand what those key indicators are important, so you can identify those threats and take evasive action.
So what would my first step be as a female? If you're approaching me and I'm heading to my car, and you're chatting me up, asking me for directions or maybe some spare change?
One thing I tell people is you do not stop and engage in a conversation, because he's chatting you up for a reason. So you keep doing what you're doing. You're going to pass him by, check your six, check your back, make sure he's not following you, but you're not going to stop and engage in a conversation with this person, because he or she, and mostly men, are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you prior to an attack. They've already war gamed it out in their minds.
Let's put another scenario out there. Taylor Swift is coming to Gillette Stadium this summer. And a lot of people might not want to go because you're in a big stadium and things happen. So, the tips are to be aware. But what are we looking for in that type of situation in a big crowd environment?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost is to have an escape plan. Where do I go if something bad happens? Where's my first exit? Where's my second exit? Maybe even a third exit. Just because in the heat of battle, in the heat of the moment, you may freeze up. And it's important that the mind is prepared to react, because the mind, for all intents and purposes, is a muscle. And if you train the mind, the body will follow. If you do not train the mind, you will freeze and potentially die. It's important to understand that you may have to take the offensive at times. You may have to strike someone because maybe you failed to identify the threat, and maybe you failed to identify and avoid the threat. Now you have to fight. And what I talk about is fighting with a strike as hard as you can to the computer, which is right to the face, and escaping. Strike and escape. Strike and escape.
And I love the point that you said, our voice is so powerful. And to be loud, to be confident, aggressive,
yes,
is our greatest strength.
It is. I really believe in that. That your mere presence, first and foremost, could act as a deterrent, and your voice is a weapon. So basic, but it's so true. So your voice can be used in such a manner that it throws the bad guy off his plans. to hurt you. Because he's been planning this attack, like I've mentioned, and for weeks, maybe months, he's been watching you. And he knows that the first thing I'm going to do is this, the second thing I'm going to do is that, and then I'm going to approach her, ask her for directions, and then I'm going to attack her. With your voice, with a strong voice, if you're switched on, you're going to identify you're being set up. And then, with a strong voice, you say no or back. And it does two things. It takes the bad guy off his game plan, because you've interrupted his thoughts, and you create potential witnesses.
Important message.
Yeah.